Ikaw na lang maghahawak niya, sir. Ready na ako.
Ready.
Ready. Okay. Welcome back to Engine. This is Sir Michael Bungabong, your English genius. So let's time travel Brazilian to the history of English language. So today we will talk about changes in word meaning. Did you know that in English vocabulary is always changing? As technology changes, new words are added to the language. Some words like the objects, ideas, and action they represent becomes outdated and old-fashioned, even those words that remain part of the language. So even the word part of the language often undergo semantic changes, or we call it changes in meaning. So let me give you Brazilian at least 4 processes of semantic changes. Number 1, specialization or narrowing. So the meaning of the word may become more restricted or specialized. For example, deer. So we call it any animal. So when you see a dog running or cats running, we cannot call it like a cat. They call it before as what? As deer. So that is the old meaning. But now, because of that process, they give a specific name for it. For example, deer become now a hoofed mammal with antlers. Next example is star. So that star before in the old meaning means to die. So if you die for something or whatever reason behind on it, we called it what? Star. Okay? But now the new meaning of that word is to die of hunger. There is a reason now why you die because of hunger. Another process is generalization or widening. That's for our number 2. The meaning of the word sometimes become more expanded. The current meaning become more broader, okay, than the earlier meaning. So for example, barn. So before barn we called it barley storehouse. Now the new meaning is a building for grain, equipment, or animals. So there is a specific already there. Next, butler. A bottle bearer. That is the old meaning, a bottle bearer. Now, the new meaning is a male servant. Okay, that's a new meaning. Next process is we call it amelioration or elevation. When the meaning of a word becomes more positive or laudatory, so the current meaning becomes more positive. So for example, nice. The old meaning of nice way back then is foolish. So when someone called you nice, it doesn't mean that you are nice, but you are foolish way back then. But along the way, as a process goes by, the new meaning becomes more pleasant. So when they call you nice, you say, "Oh, thank you," right? Because the meaning became or becomes pleasant. Next is sige pa, baba. Yan, votes. Yung sa may votes. Yan, sige pa. Ambition. Next is ambition. Seeking for votes. So, when someone says you are too ambitious or ambitious, so that means you are seeking for votes. But the new meaning of that is the desire for success. So you see the difference from the old meaning and the new meaning? Okay. Next, another process is we call it pejoration or degradation. So the meaning of the word may become more negative or derogatory. So the current meaning of the word becomes more negative than the earlier meanings. For example, lewd, that becomes ignorant. No? So ignorant, it more like exaggerated terms. No? Aside from ignorant, now it becomes obscene. So obscene is like a disgusting act that is not actually the normal act of a human being. So that's what we call lewd. But another example is vulgar. So that is relating to the common people way back then. So this is like a common behavior of the people, but now it's become more indecent. So same like a norm or a character or an attitude of individual that is beyond the standard. Okay? So those are the four important processes of the word that becomes changed as we go along. Okay? So that is for now. See you next episode, Gracelia. I am your English genius, Michael R. Bungabo. Feed your mind with engine.
5 minutes. Maganda lang din.
Okay. 5 minutes lang yun.
Oo. Okay, damihan mo yung ano.
Explanation.
Explanation. For example, sa deer. Damihan mo yung animals. Ay na to, 4 na animal.
Ito are apat na
Oo,
animals.
tapos gamitin mo sa sentence.
Let me try. Okay, sige.
May pala ka pang background dito sa ano.
Ano ba? Kasi mga ano yan eh, language. So, pwede yung dictionary, pwede yan, palasyo, okay yan.
Ayun yung may color ko kanina.
Eh, di ganyan na rin sa akin.
Ako sa urong side niya naman yan. Slow. Ready. Camera rolling. And
Welcome back to Engine. This is Sir Michael Bungabong, your English genius. So let's time travel, Brazilian, to the history of English language. So today, we will talk about changes in word meaning. Did you know that English vocabulary is always changing? As technology changes, new words are added to the language. Some words like objects, ideas, and action, they represent become updated and old-fashioned. Even those words that remain part of the language, even those words that remain part of the language often undergo semantic, or we call it changes in meaning. So let me give you, Brazilian, at least 4 processes of semantic changes. What are the 4 processes? So let's begin with specialization or narrowing. So what is specialization or narrowing? Well, the meaning of the word may become more restricted or specialized. So that means we give a specific name or a specific term to an animal. Like for example, a deer. So D-E-E-R. An old meaning of it, it's like any animal. So when you see a cow, dogs, cats, or any animals that you see surroundings, right? So you call it, oh, there's a deer, okay? But because of the first process or narrowing, we give a specific name to an animal. So the deer now becomes what? A hoofed mammal with antlers. So we give a specific name to the deer. So imagine from deer, we call it a lot of animals, but now there is a specific term for that, right? So another example is starve. So starve means to die. To die, that is the old meaning, okay? Old meaning of starve. So there's a lot of situation why a lot of person, or what is the reason behind people die? So if we don't know the answer, we call it, oh, starve, right? Starve. But now, there's a specific term for that. So to die of hunger means that person died because of hunger. So that's the new meaning of the specialization, okay, or narrowing. Next, another example is generalization or widening. So generalization or widening, the meaning of the word sometimes becomes more expanded. So the current meaning of that is what? Becomes broader than the earlier meaning. So for example, barn, okay? Because we call it more expanded. Barley storehouse. So that way back then, barn is like only for barley storehouse. But because of this process, it becomes what? A lot of definition. Now, you can have a building for grain, equipment, or animals. It depends on you. So barn has a lot of meaning. Widening. So that is process number 2. Now, another example is butler. So butler is only specialized with a bottle bearer. That's the old meaning. Bottle bearer, only for bottle. But now the new meaning is male servant. So that is the new meaning. See the difference? Okay. Another process is we call it amelioration or elevation. That is for our example number 3. So what is that? When the meaning of the word becomes more positive or laudatory. So the current meaning becomes more positive. For example, nice. Nice. Did you know, class, for Brazilian, that the old meaning of nice is foolish? So if someone called you, you're nice, it's not really pleasing to listen to or to hear. Because the meaning of that is what? Foolish. But as this process, the new meaning becomes more pleasant. Or what? When someone told you you're nice, you will say, okay, thank you. Thank you, because they appreciate your character. Next, we call it ambition. Okay? Ambition. So, the seeking of votes. That's the old meaning. When someone told you like you're too ambitious, so it sounds offending, right? Because the meaning of that is seeking of votes. But as this process, the new meaning becomes more what? Desires for success. So this become more pleasing or very pleasing to listen. Next is pejoration or degradation. So the meaning of the word will become more what? More negative or derogatory. So the current meaning of the word become more negative than the earlier meanings. For example, lewd, ignorant. This is actually a negative already, but because of this process, this meaning exaggerated to the another term that could definitely sound not so good or not so quite good. Okay. Another example is last question. Yeah, so good. Okay. Ignorant and now become obscene. So the current meaning becomes obscene. What is obscene means? So this is like a disgusting act. So when someone like acting beyond the normal or beyond the norm or the characters that we require to do so, that becomes what? More unpleasant. So that is lewd, obscene.
Tawag sa is
Okay, yan. Okay. Cut na lang natin yung part na yun.
yung hindi mo lahat.
Wait, seryoso?
Hindi, at least meron na ano.
Bumper.
So, at least kung gawin natin, May mga words ka likod, pasok natin na doon.
Yeah, okay na naman dito. Lood. Lood. Wala akong lood. Masyadong malapit. Pwede na maulit, sir, para bongga talaga, diba?
Sa right na rin, ha?
Sound check, sound check.
Ayan, bro.
Sir, may tanong sa
Kaya,
akin. Ha? Welcome back to Engine. Yay! Nagkakalakpakan siya.
tayo. Yeah, ayun.
Welcome back to Engine. This is Sir Michael Pangapong, your English genius. So, let's time travel Brazilian to the history of English language. So today, we will talk about changes in word meaning. Did you know that English vocabulary? Did you know English vocabulary is always changing as technology changes. New words are added to the language.
Huh?
In meaning, let me give you Brazilian at least.
Ang hirap magkaroon ng pag-voice. Kasi may parehas na word.
May lalaktawan niya. Ano kaya? Ano kaya natin?
Hindi, meron tayong ginamit ng last time, ano eh.
Ilan ba kayo comparer mo ilang minutes?
3.
3 lang?
Sabi niya, ikaw na bahala magpaano, mga
Ang konti. Ang abot yun ng ano?
mga 8, sabi ko sa kanya. Pag pinahaba mo,
10.
kaya mabot niya 10?
Kung abot yun.
Sabi niya.
Basta tagalan lang yung drama. Yung umpisang intro.
Sige.
Yung may Biblia na yun. Thou shall not fear without
Yeah.
May kanta.
Ayun nga yung gagawin natin ngayon. Gusto ko, ano, alam mo gagawin natin.
Musical. Pero alam ko yung isang para.
Hindi, parang ito kayo.
Comprehend the scene ng talaga. Lucifer.
Yeah.
Ano yung liquid ba yun?
Netflix. Hindi mo gagawin ito. Papakita ko sa iyo kung paano yung
Voice over.
season 5 na. Nakakalabas na ng season 5 na to, matapos na ako.
Saan mo pinanood?
Sa mga gagawin.
Meron pang ano? Advance naman sa akin. May ganyan din ako sa Netflix yung loob ng kasi iba yung pinapanood. Mga magic. I am the shadows of death.
Ay, kaya pala siya ano. Parang may narinig ako ng intro na eh. Meron doon intro yung... Hindi yan yun eh.
Parang Devil.
Oo, parang Devin na ano, in the beginning.
Hanggang sana yung may magawa. Tapos pa yung sa akin. You shall not fear with the good. Dapat pala mo tanda yung bossing. I'm Professor. I'm the scholar. Thou shall not fear with the Lord. Oh, Ganun na lang kaya. Bakit may tagayan dito, sir? Ay, sorry po. Pero kasing ano, shot glass. Wala ko nakakita lang. Mas na ba yung mga parlor kaya? So, galing dito sir, parang sa mall. Ha? Galing. Kaya yung ano,
Yes, wala.
away ng angel.
Peaceful naman din. Parang mga ganito, parang Bible ko sa mo.
Bible.
The Bible Book of Exodus, chapter 5 through 15. Speak, Moses. But
They shall not reveal a certain. Thou shalt not kill. Dalawang boses ni The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want.
1. Unang kabanata.
The Lord is my
Sa pasimula ay naroon na ang salita. Ang salita ay kasama ng Diyos at ang salita ay Diyos. Kasama na siya ng Diyos sa simula pa. Nilikha ang lahat ng bagay sa pamamagitan niya at walang anumang nalikha na hindi sa pamamagitan niya.
Tapos ano,
Mula sa
kung Bible naman
buhay,
ang kumaindaw.
at ang buhay ay siyang ilaw ng sanlibutan. Nagliliwanag sa kadiliman ng araw at
at hindi malilimutan pa.
Ang pahayag kay Juan. Unang kabanata.
Ito ang pahayag na ibinigay ng Diyos kay Jesucristo at kanya namang inihayag kay Juan na alipin niya sa pamamagitan ng anghel na isinugo niya. Ang layunin ng paghahayag na ito ay
Kasi
ipabalik sa
sir, parang ganyan din. Kasi gusto ko ay maging intro ng ano yung nung...
Ganyan ba? Ang sa akin kasi daw eh, pagkalit.
Hindi ko ba? Hindi yan. Gusto ko maging intro ng ano ng... Ano yung engine. Kaya, kapag papasok yung ano,
Lang na.
natatak sa utak nila yung boss na gano'n. Daw sure na yung buong intro na yun hanggang matapos tayo ng season na to. Okay, season.
May season 2 pa pala.
Season 1 to, syempre. Season 4 quarters tayo eh. Season 1 yung first quarter.
Tapos may pa ba sa next
Hindi, mag-shoot tayo ng ano. Kung kaya i-shoot yung dalawang season sa isang shootan, mas maganda. Ay, sa isang episode.
O may direct.
Para mas maganda, mas mabilis.
Sige direct.
Kaya dito sa Ersan. Sama daw ako. Break muna. May isang meeting daw.
Break muna.
O, practice ka naman voice mo.
Hindi, sa taas na lang.
Mas lang. Ano lang sir, mga 5 minutes. Sabi ko ito.
Sa messenger lang naman, sir. Those song
Hindi ko na.
Ha?
Ito yung gagawin mo.
Ah. Sige, sige. The fear of those shall not kill. Saan ako pupunta?
Tapos ko lang.
Ha?
Hindi ko lang, gagawin ko sana yung plano kaso hindi naka-open yung ano.
Yung?